behalf of CMANA and everybody everywhere, I'd like to offer up a word of encouragement to all our healthcare providers out there. Even though I no longer practice medicine, I put on my white coat in an act of solidarity with you all. My prayers and the prayers of everybody are with you as you take care of the sick. And the number of sick has amplified tremendously due to the pandemic. And if I were to summarize what has happened to humanity in light of COVID-19, the word brokenness comes to mind. Because humanity has been broken as a result of a tiny virus we can't see. And even though we can't see it, we know it. Because we are dealing with the effects of it. We are suffering as a result of it. So we know COVID-19, though we can't see it. And we've seen everybody everywhere broken as a result. We see our hospitals and medical systems breaking down. We see the economy crashing. We see churches and communities broken because they can't come together and celebrate. We see society suffering because so many people have lost jobs as a result of this. We see our families broken up. So many have already lost loved ones due to COVID-19 and more will suffer. It's the sad reality of it. Also because of the quarantine, we have families who have been separated from each other for an extended period of time. So brokenness is what I would use to summarize the current state. And you as healthcare providers on the front lines are seeing this brokenness up close and personal. But what I want to do is really meditate with you all on brokenness, because brokenness has a unique quality. Because brokenness will always give rise to something else, right? Something new will always come out of being broken. But the question is, what will come? And society has conditioned us to respond to brokenness and vulnerability in such negative ways. We see coldness, we see vengeance, we see anger, bitterness, all these different negative ways of responding to brokenness. But the truth is, there's another way to respond to brokenness, and that's what we really want to be thinking about. And that way was modeled for us in Jesus Christ. And if we look specifically at the Last Supper, we get a really nice picture of this idea of being broken and then giving. Because when we look at the Last Supper, and we'll take just a small excerpt from the Gospel of Matthew, where it says, as they were eating, Jesus took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to his disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. So whenever something is broken, it can then be given. And our Lord not only broke bread on the night of the Last Supper and gave it to his disciples, but on the following day, he would offer up his body to be broken on the cross in order to offer up life to everyone else in the world. All of humanity received life as a result of the brokenness Christ experienced on the cross. We also see this idea where the Lord spoke and he said, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. And so we see that idea of brokenness and dying as the precursor to being able to give and to give abundantly, right? And there's another situation that I want to look at with you all to go on this idea of being broken and giving in response to that brokenness. Because when we look at after the resurrection, when the Lord was traveling on the road to Emmaus with the two disciples, and he explained to them everything in the scriptures of everything that must happen, it wasn't until they sat down at the table and our Lord again took bread, broke it, and gave it to them that their eyes were opened up. They saw things clearly, and they probably never saw things as clear as that moment, as a result of being broken and giving. And one of the things that we immediately see is that they are able to go and testify of the resurrection so clearly because of that action of breaking and giving. Now, in the thick of COVID-19, what we see in our faces nonstop is brokenness. There's brokenness everywhere. And it's really easy to get hung up trying to ask the question of why this brokenness, and why is God allowing us to experience all this broken, what messages? And the truth is, we may never know. We can come up with ideas and thoughts, and there are many good thoughts behind it. But will we ever really know why? No, because his ways are not our ways. His ways are above our ways. We just don't know. But what we do have is an opportunity, right? And that opportunity is whether or not we will embrace brokenness and give as a result of that brokenness, right? And St. Paul said it in Philippians, where he said that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being conformed to his death. So St. Paul saw his suffering and his opportunity to have fellowship with the suffering of Christ, and as a result, St. Paul gave so abundantly. Right? And if we can learn to embrace the brokenness of today, then we can freely choose to give out of that brokenness, right? Not by ignoring or denying that brokenness, but embracing that brokenness and then giving as a result of that brokenness. And giving out of the result of brokenness looks like so many different things for so many different people. But what I want to focus on is, as healthcare professionals, what does it look like for us? Right? What does it look like for you on the front lines to give out of the brokenness? And it can mean a number of different things. Some of you are being called to work tons of hours, and as a result of those hours, you're being taken away from your family, and it hurts. And you may want to be bitter, but it's an opportunity for you to give, right? For some of us, it means we're being pulled to work on different teams we're not comfortable working with. For some of us, it presents the opportunity to be a voice of encouragement to patients, to staff. And some of us may even be able to hold the hands of somebody who's dying of COVID-19 alone because family can't come in. Whatever the situation is, we're all experiencing brokenness. But can we choose to freely give from our brokenness by embracing our brokenness and giving in the same way that Christ gave? May God bless you and keep you safe, and may you have the courage to give out of the brokenness that you are experiencing. God bless.